Yeah, I'll react to that, sure. Hey guys, engineering video. Again, love these. Preemptive like. This wasn't recommended. I just found this video on my own because I wanted to watch a engineering project. So I've been searching different European countries, and I typed in German engineering project. It showed this one. We're watching it. My name's Connor. If you're new, I like to learn things along with you guys, along and with the help of you guys. Let's get into it. Denmark's $8 billion Lego-like tunnel to Germany. Let's go. Interesting engineering. Subscribed, liked.
The country that brought the world Lego is now pioneering a new construction technique for tunnels that has a passing resemblance.
The company?
The country that brought
Okay, I thought for a second I heard the company that brought you Lego.
the world Lego is now pioneering a new construction technique for tunnels that has a passing resemblance to the child's toy. The Fehmarn Belt Tunnel will link Denmark with Germany, cutting almost 200 kilometers off the journey from Copenhagen to Hamburg.
So clearly they meant to type 200 because there's no way this is 2,000 kilometers. So.
But what makes this tunnel so different is how it is constructed in sections and put together on the seabed. Until now, there have been two primary forms of tunneling. The one you probably know is using massive boring machines to create a tunnel by removing earth from deep underground. It's the way the Channel Tunnel was built. The other is what is known as cut and cover and is usually used for shallower tunnels. One of the most well-known examples of a cut and cover tunnel is the Circle and Metropolitan line of the London Underground. In this method, land is dug away to create a trench to build the tunnel. In
Pretty
the old days,
self-explanatory,
it could
I
be
think.
made of brick, but nowadays it's more likely concrete. Once the tunnel is constructed, the earth is replaced over the top, becoming invisible. The new Fehmarn Belt Tunnel uses an entirely different approach. A trench is dug along the seabed, into which prefabricated sections will be sunk and linked together to create a record-breaking tunnel.
Wow, so you'd actually be able to see the tunnel structure from underwater. That's pretty cool. I wonder about the ceiling and
Sunk and linked together to create a record-breaking tunnel.
It is actually a tunnel that includes two world records. It is the world's longest immersed tunnel, or it will be when we're done, and it at the same time also the world's longest combined road and rail tunnel.
The rail and road tunnel will link the Danish island of Lolland to Germany's Fehmarn Island, just 11 kilometers away. It's the closest sea crossing between the two countries, and the coasts can be easily seen on a clear day. Geographically, the location was ideal, and the seabed conditions made an immersed tunnel the best option.
okay, so it still is a dig and cover sort of tunnel, right?
First of all, the soil conditions here are very well for immersed tunnels, since the seabed is continuously going up and down without going too deep. So it's a smooth flow, and thereby having the immersed tunnel just right under the seabed. And by making immersed tunnel, we actually use much less concrete than if we had to make 4 board tunnels, 2 for rail and 2 for road.
The construction can be split into 3 distinct projects.
We have one project that have dredged all the tunnel trench, moved a lot of soil from the bottom of the sea to...
I can sort of understand them, but maybe some people can't. I'm just going to turn on captions.
Construction can be split into 3 distinct projects.
We have one project that have dredged all the tunnel trench, moved a lot of soil from the bottom of the sea to extending the island of Lolland, which I'm sitting on right now. We have another project of constructing a factory and including all the things necessary to produce elements. And then we have a project of casting the elements, outfit them, sail them out, and place them at the bottom of the sea where the tunnel trench is, and then cover it up again, and then we have established the seabed as it was before, but now with a tunnel beneath it.
There's not much to see on the surface of all the work on the seabed, but the project is evident on land. The seabed soil has been reused to create new wetlands to increase biodiversity and provide recreational space. And, of course, a vast factory has been constructed to build the concrete elements, giant...
I wonder if having sea plants on top of the structure after you fill it in over it would actually help it, because it would kind of secure the integrity of the covering soil. I know that that's an issue on land with some soil. If you remove too many plants and trees, then the soil itself becomes much less stable, because all of the roots of the pre-existing plants and trees and even grasses were kind of holding it together. I wonder if this has a similar effect, or if it's negligible.
Diversity and provide recreational space. And, of course, a vast factory has been constructed to build the concrete elements, giant Lego bricks, if you like, that will make up the finished tunnel.
We actually produce all the tunnel elements at the factory, so that's one of the advantages of making an immersed tunnel, that you cure all the concrete in a controlled environment in a factory, where we then step by step produce the elements. We have to produce 79 normal elements, and each of those elements consists of 9 segments, which we cure one at a time, or cast one at a time. So all in all, we have to make 711 castings of those segments, combining to the elements.
I was a little confused. I was very confused, obviously. Earlier on, when you first said elements, my brain stupidly maybe went to, like, you need to make certain types of ore or something like that. But he means by elements, he means like each section. So maybe I'm the only one who was a little confused there, but
we have to make 711 castings of those segments, combining to the elements.
Each of those elements is 217 meters long, 40 meters wide, and 10 meters high, and weighs a staggering 73,000 tons.
There's no equipment in the world that can lift those elements, so the only way you can move them is by pushing them on some skidding beams towards the water, and then have a sluice where you can put water in and then sail them out and lower them down to the water sea level, and then sail them out to where they should be immersed. We are using some tugboats to navigate them where they should be placed. And then we, by ballast tanks inside, we put more and more water in, so they become heavier, and then until they are in the bottom of the sea, and then we lock them there. And then we start putting in even more ballast concrete and remove the ballast water.
I'm a little curious what they dig down to. You know, like if they dig down to bedrock, it doesn't seem like they're doing that. And they must know a way, but I'd assume if it's kind of shifting soil, then over time, if it moves too much, it could, you know, it could, what's the word? Jeopardize the structural integrity.
And then we start putting in even more ballast concrete and remove the ballast water along the way.
The elements have a rubber ring on the end to form a seal, and on the seabed, the elements are joined together and made watertight.
Of course, we have made some very conservative design, so we are sure that it lasts, and that it lasts for 120 years. And we are in no way going on compromise with that, so we better take another week to check that everything is well before we do it, instead of hurrying things through. This rubber tube along the end of the tunnel, and then when it's pressed very tight together due to the pressure from the outside water,
screw it in.
We're emptying that, so you have an empty space in there. Then actually they are pressed together so they are watertight. And then we can, of course, measure that they actually are watertight before we then open the door into that room between the two elements and the two bulkheads that are end of the tunnelments. And then you can go into this area on a few meters that are between the two bulkheads. And in there you can make what we call an omega sealing, that is a second watertight we put from the inside, and thereby if one of them break down, the other one is still watertight.
This isn't the first time this new construction method has been used. Most people have seen the iconic Öresund bridge between Denmark and Sweden, but few realize part of the link is a tunnel. That shorter tunnel uses a similar method of construction, but the new project has some added complications.
We have made the Öresund tunnel, which is built about the same way. It's much shorter, it's only 4 kilometers, but also with 2 road tubes and 2 rail tubes. So we have built on the experience from there, and then we have extended and developed some new ideas. For instance, we have, besides the 79 elements I mentioned before, we have 10 so-called special elements where we have a basement where all the mechanical and electrical equipment are put in those basements under the road tubes and rail tubes. And by that, you can make the operation and maintenance without disturbing the traffic. Because besides having a basement, those elements also have a lay-by where the operational vehicles can park without disturbing the traffic. And we simply have to do that because the tunnel is so much longer than it's impossible to walk 9 kilometers to get to the center of the tunnel to repair something. So we had to find another solution. So that is of course new. And then also that means that when you had dredged the tunnel trench smoothly from one side to the other, we then to have make 10 holes where those special elements should be placed. So that is of course an extra complexity that I'm looking very much forward to see work in reality when they come to the first special element in not so long time from now.
Construction of the elements has already started and will continue for a few more years. The factory is now a production line.
For the time being, we have casted 5 out of the 79 elements. We have not made any of the special element finished yet, but we are working on 3 of them for the time being. And I believe that during this year, we will see the first of the elements coming at the bottom of the sea.
Once completed, the Fehmarnbelt Tunnel will be one of the 5 longest road tunnels in the world. If you've ever driven through a long road tunnel, you'll know how lighting can make driving almost hypnotic. The Fehmarnbelt Tunnel includes lighting effects to reduce the danger of drivers becoming disorientated while driving at its length.
Inspired by the fact that this is a place where the birds fly from Denmark to Germany and the other way. In different places along the time, you could see this extra light in the front of you, and then you will pass like this flock of birds that you're passing. So by that you can see something new instead of just seeing the light after light after light.
If all goes well, the first travelers will use the tunnel in 2029, taking just 7 minutes by train and 10 minutes by car to travel from Denmark to Germany. The tunnel will open up possibilities for seamless road travel from the Arctic Circle.
Yeah, I was going to say, this might be even more beneficial if you're from Sweden or Norway trying to get to Germany or to Poland. I know there are some stretches of islands in between a point in the Baltic Sea in between Finland and Sweden. And I wonder if maybe you could create a connection there. Because if you're trying to, or maybe they have ferries. They probably do have ferries. Because if you're trying to travel by train or by road from Finland to Sweden, I'm assuming, I mean, you're, obviously if you're in the very northern reaches of both countries, you can just cross the border easily, but I know the vast minority, does that make sense? The minority of people living in those countries live that far up north, I know that, so I wonder if you could build a bridge or system of bridges and tunnels along those islands. Maybe it's just too big of a project and just use ferry systems, or just go the long way, either north or south into Europe and over there. So that'd be interesting. But yeah, I feel like this is just as important to Norwegian and Swedish travelers trying to get to Germany, Poland, as it is to Danish, maybe even more so in some cases.
To the Straits of Gibraltar, 5,500 kilometers away. For the people living on their side of the tunnel, there is greater connection and increased economic benefits by having one of the world's longest road and rail tunnels on their doorstep.
Remember to hit the subscribe
really
button
cool.
and ring that bell to stay updated with our latest content.
Really cool. Interesting engineering. Very interesting video. I think this stuff is fascinating. It's really fun just seeing how we're able to make new ways that we can travel in between countries. It's very fascinating. So, love y'all. Hope you're all doing well. Would appreciate any comments down below. Any comments, any answers, any questions I asked, any comments at all. If you disagree or whatnot, would love to see it. And hopefully I'll see you guys next time. We'll keep on learning. Bye, guys.